Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. As you see, I'm still in the same place. But we have started to busily moving around. Yesterday was Guru Poornima. And Marie asked me to please talk about it. Not so much what the Poornima means, but how to see one's own self in the Guru. Guru Poornima, by the way, means the Poornima is the full moon. So it's the Guru's full moon. One full moon in the year is being celebrated in reference to the Guru. Now Mari asked how to see one's own self in the Guru manifest. It's a good question. That's the job. The goal is to see everything as the same divinity, everything as one's own self. The Guru makes it a bit easier because it's easier to remember that after all, you meet this being in order to learn to be more self-conscious, self-aware. There's not a special trick how to see the self in the Guru. It's just that the disciple has to remind again and again and again. After all, I'm not here for personal disputes with that being. I'm here because I have the faith that this being in front of me is easier connected with that same divinity that is my own self. So the disciple goes for inspiration, goes for support, goes for the guidance, not to get something from the Guru which is not really there, but hoping in the presence of the Guru with the support and the guidance of the Guru. It's easier to become aware what is there. The ultimate Guru is your own self. The external Guru is just a manifestation of that, a pointer. And the Guru's job is always to point to the disciple and say, look, it's already there. Yeah. Maria also asks, in the Indian tradition, the Indians usually they connect with a Guru and then they stick to that Guru. That's the Indian tradition. And that it has its purpose, because if one goes from one teacher to another, one is likely to get a bit confused, because every teacher has their own words, their own way. they are using to convey basically the same message. But then in the mind of the student, it may give a bit confusion if one goes from one to another. Now, for Western minds, this is a bit difficult to accept, to connect with one guru and then stick to it. It is also not so strictly necessary. I mean, that close relationship of a guru and a disciple is not so easy to attain. It's not something that we can really artificially do. It may just happen, but we still may get a lot of inspiration being connected with a great being. When we approach a teacher, first we have to introspect and see in ourselves, what do I really want? Is it just for another kind of thrill that I'm going there, or do I sincerely want to discover what is there in myself? Am I really ready to give up all my attachments to my ideas I have about myself, to my personality? Because as long as we want to hold on to that, then we can go to a teacher, or we can go from teacher to teacher. We may think that we're becoming quite knowledgeable in the spiritual field, but actually it's just another entertainment of a higher level, of course, but still it's a personal entertainment. In Tiruvannamalai, it's quite a common game of people going from teacher to teacher, then they meet in the tea shops and tell everything they have learned, what they know, showing their knowledge. If we really want to benefit from connecting with a teacher, we have to be clear in ourselves. What do I really want? Am I really ready to give up that attachment to that me personality? If that readiness is there, then a connection with a teacher can be very, very useful. Now, Mari, how can you see the self in the Guru? By becoming self-aware. The more you are capable of bringing the attention back to yourself, detach from the old habitual me, attachment to the personality. The more you are capable to letting that go, willing to let that go, the more you naturally, automatically will see the Guru as a manifestation of the self, of that same divinity that is your true nature. See the self in yourself, and then you see the self in the Guru. See the self in the Guru, and then you see the self in yourself. It's the job. It's the way is to remind ourselves again and again. Have a good look at what's going on and let go what stands in the way of being in that natural ease and peace. Okay. Let me drop the subject. How many are we? 28 people here. Is there anybody who would like to come in? Who's ready to talk right now? Please come in. Not quite yet? Okay, then I come to a question of Mariano from Argentina. I'm not sure whether you are still here in Europe, in Italy, or whether you're back in Argentina, Mariano. He said he was very sick. I forgot the name, what kind of syndrome, but he was very sick, really lying in bed, hardly being able to move. And then it was very, very difficult to connect consciously with the source, with the self. How can practice help that even in such a situation we can connect? Of course, what you say, Mariano, is true. It's not easy to connect when we are physically real sick, real weak, if it's very painful. Practice helps you that you can stand more and more, that you can stand it more easy, but I think everybody has their point where it's just not more so easy, not more really possible. That you may have little moments where you connect consciously and then the attention is so drawn in the painfulness of the body, in the unwell feeling of the body, that's not so not possible for that person then to detach from that and hold on to the source. Do as good as you can. And when the time passes, when the sickness passes, you reconnect again more intensely, more constantly. You can't train for such a situation. You just connect whenever it's possible, when it's easier. And then when you are in difficult situations like that, then you do as good as you can. Even great sadhus who have been practicing for a long time, if they are getting really sick, they may get yanked out of their deep connection they feel usually. It happened even to the teacher, one of the teachers of Sri Ramakrishna, Totapuri, a sadhu since 40 years, firmly established, and yet when he got sick, really sick, it was so bad he couldn't sit anymore for meditation, and he felt like dying. He felt like it's useless now to keep this body any longer. Ramakrishna encouraged him after that to continue. First, he had been the teacher of Ramakrishna, and after that he became more the student of Ramakrishna. Don't feel bad, Mariano. Anybody who gets sick and then they have difficulties to connect, don't feel bad about it. You connect as good as you can. If you manage in a very tense situation, with a lot of pain, with feeling totally low in energy, with having a very ugly, unpleasant feeling in the whole body, if in spite of that, you are capable to return the attention to that which makes the experience possible, then that brings you very, very deep. But if you are not capable of doing so, don't feel bad about it. Just stick it out until it's easier again, and then you come back home, easier again. How can we train for it? What does practice help? Well, practice helps. Let's say your point where it's getting just too much is slowly getting a bit receding. If you practice, somebody who has had a lot of practice certainly can easier stand difficult situations like you describe than somebody who has never practiced at all. But it's not that after that you have a guarantee that whenever sickness hits you, you will be capable to just be totally detached and watch the whole story. Do it as good as you can and don't feel bad for those moments where it didn't quite work. We are here in order to learn. So learning means we are getting better and better in certain things. We are making mistakes which are not really mistakes. That we are just not always capable of living up to an ideal that we may put in the mind. So what? Then we do as good as we can. And when it's getting easier, joyously go ahead again. Okay, Hariom, Hariom. Now I'm asking again, is there anybody who would like to come in and talk? Please come.
Hi Werner, it's Shreya.
Hello Shreya.
I might just share first that I've had a beautiful Guru Poornima day. My guru is Sri Chinmoy from a while back, and he's not in the body anymore. Yeah. And we never really celebrated Guru Poornima because he didn't teach Hinduism as such. It was kind of universal teaching. But because it was Guru Poornima, other people celebrate it. So I sometimes celebrate it, like Amma celebrates it. Yeah. And this morning, because it's evening here, so this morning it was evening in America, and they had some online chanting, so I joined that. And I just had a beautiful experience, and they're so devotional towards their own guru, Neem Karoli Baba, and it really, that devotion, I really caught onto it. It really helped me feel connection with my own guru. And that was really, really beautiful. I never had any trouble seeing divinity in my guru, because I feel that he infused it, that's my own, he was always infused with divinity, and that was my own experience. But in terms of the relationship that his followers had with him, it was a matter of love and oneness. And by even in meditation, if you can invoke the presence of the guru, or you can do other things, read their writings, or look at their lives, or various ways, and it was just a matter of oneness. But anyway, I've had a beautiful day today. So it inspired me to do a good amount of meditation, and I haven't really done that enough. It's really good to, we get so busy with life, it's good to set aside a day here and there where you don't do much else. And so I did that today, and that was a wonderful experience. But the thing that I wanted to talk about today was lately I've been kind of watching, I've been observing this Leela, this game, and how we go through phases of where we really get caught. I find this happens to me. I go through phases where I get really really get caught in things like work stresses and just sort of, I suppose it's just material life, you know, the outer life, material life. And there's this constant effort. We have to always come back and put effort into finding that sense of self again, you know, with our practices or withdrawing sometimes and taking time out or whatever it is. There's various different ways that we do it. But it's like this kind of a gravitational pull where we're kind of being drawn back to the earth and that earth consciousness and that material consciousness and, you know, the stories of other people, the stories of yourself, the stories of life, and stresses of just living in the world as it is at the moment. And, you know, there's constant effort into coming back to feeling more of a sense of self. But so I was just wondering two things. One is, do you have suggestions about how to, you know, it's good to bring yourself back, but it's better if you can avoid the pull to begin with. So it's like catching it sooner. And the other thing is, because you've left India recently, because I felt when I was in India that it was so much easier to see the divine play in everything that happened, even when it was difficult circumstances. And here it's completely different. It's harder to feel the same way. And having left India and sort of traveled, whether you have anything to share about your experiences of coming back into the West, or perhaps anything from the past as well that you might like to share about that.
Okay. Somehow it gives a bit of funny sound. Yeah, now it's better. What you said before, first, sure, it's certainly very, very helpful if you make such days, if you have such days where you are not too busy, otherwise, in order to strengthen again your capacity to connect, your capacity to come back. But you say that gravitational pull is always there, that the mind goes, and then it's an effort. We can learn to become aware that it need not be such an effort. It's more a matter, the little effort is to remind oneself, and then instead of making an effort in trying to control, it's more letting go, relaxing. The more you can do that, the less it feels like an effort. And eventually you start to become aware that gravitational pull actually is from the center. It pulls you back to that all the time. And it's more an effort to go away and get involved in this whole external stuff. You say in India, yeah, please.
I was just going to say, I find though, just about that I love what you just said, but I find it's necessary. Like in my life, there's certain things that I have to do. So sometimes I'm not inclined to get involved in the world, but I find I have to, and in a way I need to, or in a way it's part of my life that I don't go into seclusion or anything like that. I do live in the world. So that is part and parcel with my life. It's something that I'm going to be dealing with pretty much.
Right. When I say going out and getting involved, I meant losing the touch. But of course, you live your life, you live in the world, so do whatever is necessary in the world. But we can learn to do that without feeling that we are sort of going out, but more, okay, we play the role in this crazy game, but there is that aspect in you that is not involved in it. And you said it was much easier in India to be aware of that, to see everything as a Leela. It's also in India, you don't have those duties you are talking about. And so you come for the purpose, and then it's easier to remind. Certainly, you are right. In India, there is a certain energy that is still very alive, that is everywhere, and has been in Europe, for example, it has been more active in an older time than now, because now it's all very much overshadowed with other things, but it's still there. So in that sense, it is a bit easier in India, but it's mainly also because you go to India for that purpose and you get out of your daily life and your duties, then you come back and there you have your habitual circumstances and your duties waiting for it. And it's the temptation is that you get being pulled into that more. It's very helpful if you have every day some time where you are not busy, that you can keep that up, that you every day have some time to strengthen that awareness something is not affected. Then when it pulls you out of habit completely into it, the moment you remember, you just come back. And don't look at it as so much of an effort. But go about it playfully. Uh-oh, got me again, there I have been going again. But the moment you remember, it's not that you have to sort of forcefully try to control, but more, let go. Here, now. I don't need to be tense. I don't need to worry about all these things. I can do my stuff with common sense, reasonably, but at the same time, what I need most is just to let go, relax. And then it doesn't really matter if you're living in Australia or in Europe or in America or in India. Now you ask whether now we are here in Switzerland. Of course, it's also not the same like somebody who goes daily for the job working, but also here the people we meet are people that we met in India. Of course, we're meeting family, and so we're going there, being an observer, being not part of it. It's not really more difficult to keep that connection. If you were now in India and you took up a regular job, a regular duty, then also in India the same thing would happen. that the attention is easily getting lost in the details of what is happening. The place has something, has an influence, can be helpful, but it's more what we are doing with it. And if we are in one place for a long time and have our routines and have our job and have our duties and have our friends and connections, then this in itself is quite a force. If we are not careful, we're getting lost in that net of that force. But then you can also, in this same very place where this is happening, just regularly, consciously step out, be by yourself, do one day, as you have said, maybe do a few days sometimes, and then gradually it's easier and easier. Even in the habitual surroundings, with the habitual people, with the habitual duties, with the habitual connections that are there, more and more see it as a lila, as a play, not more taking oneself, one's role, and the whole damn story so serious.
Yeah, I think that's really valuable to not to remember to not take it all so seriously. And of course, I recognize that it takes time, a lot of practice and time. And it's like the constant reminding is really helpful. But the thing I love the most that you said is this sense, I was talking about this gravitational, like a gravitational pull away. And you said, I can turn around and it's like a gravitational pull back. I love that.
That's really where the force is coming from. That's actually where it should pull. And it does if we let it. If we don't, it's more, the other one is the habit that forces us away again and again. But if we don't go after that habit and let go, whoop, It's like the gravitation that pulls you back home. We don't have to make an effort. We are already there.
Yeah, sometimes it's just easier than other times to have that. I suppose there's a little bit of detachment that you need towards, towards your life. And then also that sense of playfulness is really helpful too. Sometimes though, it's like you can't show it too much because other people take everything so seriously and they think you're not taking things seriously enough. So I think sometimes it's kind of like, okay, I'll feel it maybe a bit more inwardly.
Right. That doesn't mean you have to go and somehow offend people everywhere that you make fun of them. You can play your role. You can appear to be very serious, and inside, it's just a play. Like an actor on stage can play a very serious role and still deep down knows, I'm not that role. I'm just playing that role.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Is there anybody else who would like to talk? Please come.
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Kailas.
Merhaba from Turkey.
Happy to see you. Happy in Turkey.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm not really sure how to start this question. So I'll give the context first.
Right.
So a few days ago, I just saw this random post on Facebook. Somebody, it was just a list of about 80 major international cities, all around the world. And then the question was simply, how many of them have you been to? So I reposted that, and I asked the question, how many of these cities have you been to? And I said my answer was 39, and quite a few friends of mine gave their answers, and for many people it was like 20 something or 30 something. A few had more than me, 40 something. Anyway, but then you posted, you commented that you had only been to 4 of those major cities. You remember? Yeah. So I was going like, what? How is that possible? So then I was chatting with a common friend of ours, and I was saying, wow, Werner really hasn't traveled very much at all. And then she said, yeah, Werner is more interested in awakening than in traveling. And I said, yeah, wow, no kidding, yeah, that's really true. I mean, it just shows how serious you have been about your practice, your path, and but even in India, you've been mostly either in your cave at Amas Ashram or in Tiru. I mean, it seems, as I understand, you haven't even been to Varanasi, even after so many years in India.
You're right. You're right. I haven't.
Yeah. So my question is simply, how important is it? How essential is it to be so single-pointed, so undistracted, so focused on spiritual practice like you in order to be awakened in this lifetime?
The single-pointedness certainly is necessary. That that we learn to really connect on and on and on and on again, and basically don't want anything else. But that doesn't mean that the external story has to resemble my external story. It was just not in my stars that I'm traveling much. Once a woman in Switzerland, an astrologer, before I came to India, said, "You are not going to travel much in your life." And then I said, "But I'm going to India." And she said, "Oh, you will come back immediately." Well, she was not right about my coming back immediately to Switzerland, but she was right that it was just not my story to travel around much. For example, a traditional picture for the sannyasi is that they stay for 3 days in one day and then they move on. And they don't stick to one place. The single-pointedness doesn't mean you have to stay in the same place. It was for me just at a certain time, I didn't feel, why should I go here and there? It's everywhere the same 5 elements. I didn't feel the pull to do so. But there's nothing wrong with if somebody feels like traveling. What we have to do, that single-pointedness is not connected with a place, but it's connected with the source, with that which makes the experience possible. And for me, it was good not to travel around much. But that doesn't mean it has to be like this. I just thought when I saw that post of you, I thought it hilarious that everybody has these big numbers, and when I went through the names, that it really I've been in 4 of them.
Yeah, it was the record low number actually, because I mean, obviously most people were looking at what's the upper the upper limit, and one friend of mine had actually been to like more than 80 cities, and that was, but she was like an ex flight stewardess.
Yeah.
But then you were really like had such a low number, and that really actually impressed me for the for the opposite reason. I mean, because for me it was showing like how focused you have been on your practice, just staying in 2 places in India basically, and not even being interested in going anywhere else, even in the north of India, doing things like trekking in the Himalayas, and hanging out in Goa, like what most people do in India, and I'm also thinking of another example, like for example Tenzing Palmo, the famous English Tibetan nun,
Yes,
who spent 12 years in a Himalayan cave. Yeah, and I believe, got some quite high levels of realization. So, one of her comments was that, when people asked her, was it difficult? Did you have a challenging time? And didn't you want to be somewhere else? And then she said, there was nowhere else she wanted to be.
yeah.
Why would I want to be somewhere else? She said. So to me, it just seems like maybe especially among Western seekers, that in order to really get somewhere, or to be stable, let's say, in one's awakening, it does require this amount of commitment and work and effort and behind you. And in a way, it kind of contradicts a little bit, seems to contradict a little bit what you were just saying to Shreya about not being too serious about it, and taking it playfully, but yet at the same time, people like yourself and Tenzing Palmo have really been really serious, very serious, and very committed about your practice.
Right. When I say playful, that doesn't mean not to be serious, sincere. Let's just define the words. I think if we want to have a chance, we have to have a tremendous sincerity to go about it. And that sincerity comes by being fed up with creating suffering, being fed up with going on and on and on and finding oneself creating suffering for oneself and others. That sincerity is necessary. Without that, there is no chance. But how we go about it, we can be very sincere and playful in how we are going about it. Sincerity doesn't mean that we have to be serious in the feeling very heavy and serious about it. We can be very sincere about connecting in a light, in a joyous, in a playful way. And I had to learn that myself, rather the hard way, because I was in that serious mode very much. Taking myself, me as Werner, as a sadhak, very serious. And that we can learn to drop. That after all, that holding on to the me, I am a seeker, sadhak, sannyasi, yogi, whatever, is also an identification with the me personality. It's just another role. And we can learn also to smile about that and not take that so serious. The sincerity is that whenever I become aware, I'm identifying again totally with that. And no matter whether thinking I'm a worldly person or I'm a spiritual person, but identifying with that me person, there the sincerity tells us, okay, let go. Bring the attention back to the sense of presence, not the me spiritual or me unspiritual, me like this or like that. So it seems to be a contradiction, but it's not. Actually, for me, in my story, it meant more an advanced state to be capable of being playful about it and sincere. Instead of being so heavy and serious about it. If we can't help it, then maybe we have to go through a period of that heaviness, seriousness. But it's not that which matters. The sincerity matters. And sincerity is measured by whether we are really willing, whenever it comes to the attention, whenever we remember. As long as we don't remember, nothing can be done. But the moment you remember, whether you really connect or attempt to connect as good as you can, and let go into that and relax into that. The sincerity is not a terrible effort. It's more a letting go, a letting flow. But the habit wants to pull the attention away, and the sincerity is there if when we become aware of it, at that moment we come back. Whether we are active or whether we are quiet, whether we are talking or whether we are silent, whether we are sitting in one place or whether we are traveling.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm not sincere enough or not playful enough. But anyway, yeah, I like your answer very much.
You judge for yourself and don't compare with others. Other stories are different. And if we compare the stories, then we are caught up on the level of the manifestation. And what is really going on with the people in their stories, we can only guess, and we don't really know. So you just look at yourself honestly, and there you see about the sincerity, and don't compare with more sincere than this one and less sincere than that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Werner.
You are welcome. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Is there anybody else who would like to come? Please come. What we just talked about is a bit tricky. It's a subtle point. I keep on telling, relax, relax, relax. And in spite of all my explanations about it, people often think, but relax. Relax is something like laziness. We can be very tense and very lazy. It's laziness and doesn't mean relaxation. What I attempt is to convey that we can be very alert. And in that alertness, we can let go and relax and relax and relax. And actually, the better we can relax in that alertness, the more old attachment simply starts to drop off and drop off. The tradition talks about detach, 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 but actually it's nothing else but being capable of relaxing. When the old habit comes and starts to pull and work on us, and if we can relax, then the attachment starts to disappear and the old habit loses its power. And if we can bring a playful mood in it, not taking the story so serious, not taking ourselves so serious, especially that, not taking our role in it so serious, that actually is the path. After all, taking ourselves as a person serious is what creates all the problems. And when we start to inquire spiritually, then we become aware. That's where I create the trouble. By identifying with the me, separate from everybody else. And it's getting much easier to detach from that attachment to the personality by learning not to take oneself so serious. We can be very alert about it. We can be very sincere about it. I mean, words are words, and we can interpret them in whatever which way we want. But when I talk about seriousness now, I mean rather that we take, it's something tense, and we take ourselves, our path, our life, our circumstances, the role we are playing it very serious, and it becomes heavy, and it's putting consciousness somewhat in a prison. People can interpret the word different, but that's how I define it now, the way I'm talking. And as another aspect, I'm talking about sincerity. Sincerity is not heavy. Sincerity simply is the amount of real longing one has to be free of creating suffering again and again, of holding on to that makes everything often in such a painful story for our experience, for the experience of those around. Sometimes it's good, a moment to be forced, concentrate, and then you relax again. It's not that we have to force and force and force and force and will try to bring something about in order to be sincere. I mean, it is an approach, it's not recommendable for many people. I have heard yogis just relying on their will and putting their will on a goal, and just with their will go on and on and on and on and on. It may work for a few people, but very few are blessed with a willpower like this. And it's more a question of alertness than willpower. The will is coming in by reminding ourselves again and again and going on in spite of the time passes, in spite of having the drawbacks, in spite of often thinking, oh, I haven't gotten very far, that in spite of that we keep going. There, the will comes in, but it's more a question of being conscious, being alert. And in that consciousness, we can be very joyous and very playful and learn not simply to take these circumstances not so serious, but especially to take ourselves, the role we are playing in those circumstances, not so serious. Is there anybody who would like to talk? Please come in.
Hi, Werner.
Oh, hello.
It's Kirsten from Denmark.
Yes, hello, Kirsten.
Hi, Werner. Good to see you. I like the word relax, and sometimes I need some help to relax my opinions a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, I find, with the lockdown, I still have some very positive effects in the way that I can let go or relax with many things. But then I have some very strong opinions that carries me away.
Yeah.
And actually, I have been using this Satsang also to kind of work with them because it's opinion about the vaccine and the corona and all this stuff. And I'm not going into it. It's just the Satsang has also been a way for me because often there are opinions that are contradictory to my opinions.
Yeah.
And so I have been using the Satsang to kind of try to relax into it. And yeah, it's super challenging for me. And I realize it's because it's this battle about the truth.
Mm.
Yeah. So I wonder if you can, yeah, if you can offer some help how to. I mean, I know it's the ego that's really is catching on to it and making this whole thing so important. Yeah.
Yes. Of course, it's a very intensive time. There's a lot going on, and the energy that is put into it is very strong. And so the opinions are also very strong. Yes.
I can actually feel it just asking the question. I get this burning feeling below the heart, you know, between the navel and the heart. It's really like, it's a fire there.
Yeah.
So just talking about it, so it is strong.
It is strong. And it's amazing how people have been divided.
Yeah.
How friends are getting enemies and spying on each other.
Yeah.
Right. What's going on is very intense. But the more you take yourself and your opinion serious in it, the heavier it gets.
Yeah.
Right. The best, I'm not going at all into the discussion what is right and which opinion is right and what opinion is wrong.
Yeah, thank you.
But look at it like this, that all the people, they do that which they think is the best for them. They think that which they think is the best, is the true. They are all divine beings. How much they are aware of it or not, that of course differs. But essentially, we are all the same divinity. So let's see, let's connect with that which is uniting us instead of hammering on the opinion, what is right and what is wrong. The opinion doesn't matter so much. Be true to yourself and then find your way in the present situation, true to yourself, that you are okay with yourself, and then accept that others have different ideas and go their way. Sometimes, of course, it may give confrontations because of that, but then confrontations happen anyhow, all the time in life. It is not as real as it appears, this whole story. And I know how tempting it is in a situation like this to take it very, very, very serious. Because it's so intensive what's happening. It's like dark and light are intensely getting manifest and struggling on the relative level. The best you can do, you relax. You open up to the light. It's not that subtle war that is going on is not going to be won with violence. It's not that we have to go out on the street and fight. I'm saluting the people who go and do that, fine, because they have to do that. But it's not by way of force or violence that anything is changing. If we as an individual want to contribute that something beautiful, something good can come out of it, the best we can do is to really connect with your own joyous, lightful nature. Be in it, relax in it, rejoice in it, and radiate it. That's the greatest you can do, the greatest help. This is how this war will be won, and not with weapons, not with force, not with manifestations. And that includes that you can also open up and accept that your friends who have gone another way, they have another opinion. Whatever their motivation was for their action, sometimes it's only the pressure of the society, and then they feel it's right to go that way because it's easier that instead of judging, instead of fighting, instead of condemning as good as you can, you find your peace and joyousness in yourself, and you radiate and you think as good as you can of the other people also with joyousness, and radiate that positivity to them instead of the judgmentality for their opinions and their actions. It's the best you can do for yourself, and incidentally, it's the best you can do for the common good. In order to really do something for the common good, in order to be very useful for the common development out of this situation, you have to be in a very particular way, very selfish. But not egoistic, but really connect with the self and with the light and with the joyousness of it. And that supports the development that is anyhow on the way. And the stronger this becomes, then the more stuff that is desperately trying to hold on and control and create trouble and be destructive and negative simply eventually has to let go. And it's eventually that whole structure that is trying to be in control, has been in control, and now very strongly tries to be in control, simply will crumble. And our contribution is not criticizing and fighting. Our contribution is to be your own joyous self and radiate that. No matter what the opinions, I mean, you don't have to artificially go and meet people if you don't feel like, but you can't avoid that you are being confronted invariably now with a lot of opinions, with a lot of people who have different opinions. Most of the time it's the best you just avoid the subject. But if you can't, then be true to yourself, but at the same time, don't go out and think I have to convince them. I have to get them around or so. And if others are judgmental about you and your opinion, then so be it. It's also a good exercise then not to worry about that, not to take that serious.
Yeah, it's a big let go for just to make sure I chose to be vaccinated. And I have several friends who don't want to be in the same room with me and also don't want to talk with me anymore. So there's also been a big, one thing is I can feel I have strong opinions and I'm aware of, conscious of it, and, you know, trying to, it's coming up, but I'm trying not to send it out.
Right,
but of course, I'm oozing it out anyway. So I think everybody knows what my opinion is. But the other thing is this, you were talking about this polarity that's going on, this, you know, this very strongness of these opinions. And there has also been a big letting go. Many friends, especially people I met in India, are not, don't want to talk with me because of the difference in choices. Which is about this, you know, what is truth? Yeah. So yeah, some letting go there also.
I think you just have to accept that right now it is as it is. And if people recoil from you because of your choices, then try not to resist that it is as it is, and accept and never think, never mind, for the time being it's like that. Eventually that may pass and it may go again with your old friends, but don't make your well-being dependent on that. You are the source of your own happiness. You are complete in yourself. Connect with that and radiate that as good as you can. And then if people, because of choices you made, don't want to connect with you, then for the time being, try to simply accept, okay, so be it. Your well-being is not dependent that you are connecting with those people. Or if they still want to connect but don't want to be in the same room, then connect with them online.
It's going through the 5G.
Too bad. Anyhow,
Yeah.
what's going on is very, very strong.
Yeah.
And right now, it's important that you are connecting with yourself and not get lost in the struggle that is happening.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
But opinions will be there, and so never mind. Yeah.
I remember the words. Relax.
Relax,
the opinions.
relax. Right.
It helps to talk about it because it reminds me, and I think it will be. I can connect to that next time I feel that fire coming up.
Right.
Yeah. Mm.
And relax whatever comes from outside, whatever comes from your own mind. If there come doubts because of the opinions, then you look at it, you see what it is doing to your experience right now, and you relax, you let go. Whatever may be also an effect of what you have done, then if there effects of that come, you see what it is doing and you relax and let go, and everything can balance out. Opinions, energies, physically, the whole thing. You just hold on to your own light. You're complete in yourself. You hold on to that and relax, and the more you do that, the more whatever negativity comes from wherever it comes can be neutralized and balanced out.
Mm. Thank you, Werner.
Wish you well.
Thank you. I listened to it again when you posted. It's so nice that you posted the recordings, because it's good to hear it in the dialogue. Now it's, in time and space, but then it's like hearing it tomorrow or day after. It's like bringing new reflections. So
Very good.
it's very cool. Thank you.
There are a lot of troubles because of the modern science and whatever is there, but there's a lot of advantage also, huh?
Yeah.
Right. It's not in itself the digital age that is so many people say, oh, it's bad and bad. It's neither bad nor good. It's neutral. You can use it negatively, destructive, or you can use it positively. And since we have that opportunity, great that we can use it. Huh? Okay, Hari Om, Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. In relation to this dialogue,
Yeah.
I have a strong feeling that it's not about opinions. It's more of emotions or mixed of something that we were not, or at least I was not taught how to deal with what this virus now creates in the world. And But for me, or not but, for me, I would say, I simply don't understand, like a little child in a way. I don't understand why should I report anyone, especially specifically my friends or people I somehow share my life with. Why should I report anyone about what I do or don't do about the COVID? I mean, meaning of course the vaccine. Like a few weeks ago, I was there was a gathering, some kind of gathering, and somebody told me, "But why didn't you tell us in advance that you didn't take the vaccine?" She was sitting next to me, so I said, I was, the question caught me by surprise. We don't report each other things like that. I mean, just don't report each other facts about our health or medicines we take or before we go to places. So I'm not sure I know how to say, but first of all, I want to again emphasize that I don't understand this issue as an issue which divides between people, or creates tension between people. Or whatever. I just really, it's none of your business, really. I mean, as we respect each other, hopefully we respect each other, and we are responsible adults who live in this world, and we care about each other. Yes, I do.
The thing why it has become so strong is there is so much fear. So much fear has been generated. And once fear is there, the other emotions also get strong. Because out of fear, then the reactions, the emotional reactions are getting out of bounds. It has always been in history when there was fear generated, then the people's emotional reactions could be directed this way, that way, and they go out of bounds. And so as an individual, the best we can do that accept, okay, the situation is as it is. Don't expect people not to do so. Right now, people are reacting strongly, whether we like it or not. So it's better to accept that this is happening. But you, as an individual, you can, for yourself, everybody, for oneself, see, I have the tendency to get sucked into that also and react emotionally strong. And then there I can learn, instead of building it up and hanging on to and feeding it, turn the attention. And in my own case, at least, I can observe what it is doing and learn to relax and then not fall into that trap. At the same time, we cannot expect others that they do the same thing. Gradually, if we do that, if you do that, then you are strong and you are balanced and you are radiant and you are influencing the others that come in contact with you, and you make it easier for them to also let go and not take it so serious and not have these strong emotional reactions. But still everybody has to decide for themselves. We cannot make the decision for somebody else. All we can do is live honest up to our standards and then share it, radiate it.
This is what I do.
Yes.
If people ask me, why don't you? I said, I don't know how to answer this. And I don't know, because I didn't. I don't even have an opinion about it, actually.
Yeah.
And so I don't get emotionally involved. Still, for me, it's more of, right now, more of like intellectual, anthropological, something about when I'm watching now the world. In Israel now, our prime minister said just a couple of days ago, he said that the people who didn't take the vaccine put in danger the people who have taken it. And it is such a declaration, such a strong declaration that I can't even, I don't know how to say, I didn't even feel anger or frustration. I did feel frustration, I must be honest, but my emotions didn't really blow up, like, because it's so, quite a declaration to make.
Right.
For a prime minister.
It's just as it happens right now. Very strong opinion forming statements are being made in official places, which of course makes many people have opinions and strong emotions about it. It is just for the time being like this. There is no point in resisting against that fact. That's the situation. And not all, but the best we possibly can do is exactly not to get crushed because of it.
Yeah.
You are strong and you are full of light in yourself. And then you are happy in spite of the situation, and you radiate that happiness. And the more people that are turning like this, the more this will just crumble by itself. Anyhow, it will, because the earth in itself is changing, and it will less and less tolerate this, what is happening. But for the time being, it's there, and it's better not to resist against the fact. The more you are at ease and harmony with yourself, the more you contribute that this intensity, this tense situation will pass away.
So it doesn't mean that I will not get sick with Corona, by the way, with the COVID. That's another thing. So people ask me, so, and what if you get sick? Well, I know how to watch myself. I most of the time stay in the small village, but you said something which becomes the main thing, the tension and the fear. It becomes somehow more of an issue than the COVID itself. I mean, eventually, as you said, the earth will somehow balance itself.
Yeah.
And right now, it's like, it's like a blow up of all the people.
Right. It's about that. It's about the emotional manipulation much more than about something else. Right. It's just for the time being the situation. It's not fatalistic to accept. If you accept, then you are not hurting yourself unnecessarily. And then you have the capacity, you have the possibility to connect with yourself, with your essence. And the more you are doing that, the more you are actually the best you are contributing that this situation is passing. Not by externally fighting, not by violence, not by doing a lot of things, but by being strong and radiant. All right. You are welcome. Hari Om. Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to come? Please come.
Hello, Werner.
Hello.
Here is Moksha.
Oh, now I see you. Hello, Moksha.
Hello. Yeah, I want to say something or about this tension and serious.
Yes.
I think it is such a in the how you say it, in the mainstream or everywhere. I have learned, like if you want to reach something or do something, you have to be serious and also kind of tense in a way. It is so used that if you are serious about it, it is heavy and tension.
Mm.
And even I was swimming in the sea not such a long time ago, and I was swimming farther out than normal, and I was feeling in the body tension. And then I was suddenly aware, hey man, relax.
Mm.
And then I was feeling, oh, the water is carrying me. I don't have to do anything. The water is carrying me.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was, I saw, oh, I do this a lot of time in life,
Yes.
making a lot of effort and tension. Oh, I have to do this. Even if you carry a weight,
Yeah.
to make tension in the body, and you can carry much more if you power, but also relax.
Yes.
And I think this is in the whole life, to learn
Yes.
something, to go to the city to buy something. Oh, I have to find it. Instead of, oh, relax.
Mm.
It is really so in the subconscious, I could say. With, yeah, where do you hear in school or for the parents? Relax. You will find it. Oh,
Yeah.
relax. It will go on. It will happen. The happy end, or you never hear it.
No,
If you
we are
not-
we are drilled to the contrary. You have to
Yes.
struggle. You have to struggle. You
Yeah.
have to. You have to with tension. Otherwise, if you want to be playful, then you don't understand the seriousness of life.
Right. And you will die. You know.
You're not
You-
willing to grow up and become an adult. Right.
Yes.
But your example from in the sea is wonderful. That's what is happening all the time. That we are struggling and thinking, oh, it's dangerous, instead of relaxing and see, hey, like that, the water is carrying you. Ramana Maharshi had a nice example for that. He says people, they go with a heavy load into a train, but then you can keep the load on your head and the train is rolling, or you simply can put it down and relax, and the train is still rolling.
But we are so used to it, huh?
Yeah, it's
So-
a common habit, and
Yes.
and if you don't do that, you will have reproaches to make it even more difficult to relax. If you start to be a bit more playful about things, then people, they think, hey, how can you live like this? That it's irresponsible.
Yeah, irresponsible, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. So one has to be strong about it, to be playful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Has to learn to be strong, to be capable of relaxing in spite of all the suggestion from the past, from the subconscious, from the surroundings, that you should not relax, that you should be tense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing, huh?
It's amazing.
It is really also what you say, oh yeah, then you are lazy, or all these kind of things comes, huh?
Yeah.
And it is nonsense. It's just nonsense.
It's just nonsense, right?
Yeah, in the sea, that was a great experience, because I'm brought up from the North Sea, and there it is dangerous with the strömung, current. And now I was in the East Sea, and there is no current. So I asked the people, they say, no, you can go far out, no problem.
Yeah.
So for my feeling, and then I was farther out, because they say it's safe, but my body was tense, like, I have to swim. And then suddenly the awareness came, you don't have to do anything. I was turning on my back, I was just floating there. No, don't go under.
Huh? Right.
No big deal. And it was like, oh, this I do it my whole life, struggle. Yeah, so.
Very good. Nice Nice that you shared this. It's a good, nice picture.
Yeah,
we are being carried all the time without being aware of it. Huh?
yeah, the load in the train, right?
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Werner. Hari Om.
Hari
Hari
Om,
Om.
Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to come? We have a little more time if we want to. Yes, what Moksha just said, how strong it is unfortunately true. Everything suggests that we always should be tense, that somehow it's the right way of existing, to be in tension. But then when we sincerely start to let go, there comes so much opposition out from the past experience, out of our subconscious, out from the surroundings, that says, no, 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 you can't do that, it's no good. Or then there is a situation like now, there's a lot of opinions, as we have said before, very strong opinions, this side, that side, pulling, pushing, fighting, struggling. The best we can do for ourselves and everybody else is relax. Relax in the middle of all that. In that relaxation, do you become aware more and more? You become aware there is something there, unmoved, untouched, unattached, unconcerned, getting richer for the experience, but at the same time not being touched by the experience. And the more you connect with that, the more you radiate something wonderful, something helpful for everybody else. And if we want to have a chance that the present situation can turn into something more expansive and more beautiful, that's the best contribution we can give. Connect with that immovable part. The more you connect and relax in it, you become aware also. It's not that you're giving up anything, because there it's where you are finding the source of joy, the source of happiness, the source of feeling fulfilled in life. And the more you dive into that, the more you can give it without doing anything about it. Just be like a light that shines, that radiates. I'll stop the satsang with this note for today. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.